Let me tell you about the night I accidentally became a royal bodyguard. My name is Jake Morrison, and before this whole mess started, I was perfectly content being the maintenance guy on the luxury cruise ship Stellar Majesty. You know, the kind of job where your biggest worry is unclogging alien toilets and explaining to Captain Blorg why the artificial gravity doesn't work that way. The evening started like any other diplomatic nightmare. The ship was hosting some fancy reception for Princess Zara of the Velvani Empire. Beautiful woman, purple skin that literally glowed, eyes like liquid starlight, and apparently blood that was worth more than my annual salary. I was just trying to fix a malfunctioning champagne dispenser when the screaming started. Princess Zara stumbled into the maintenance corridor, clutching her side. Royal purple blood was seeping through her elegant gown, and she looked about as pale as a Velvani could get. Which, for the record, is still prettier than most humans on their best day. "Well, this is just fantastic," I muttered, dropping my tools. Another Tuesday night on the good ship Diplomatic Incident. She collapsed right into my arms, and I have to admit, catching a bleeding alien princess wasn't on my maintenance manual. Her weight surprised me, lighter than expected but definitely real. Her breath was warm against my neck as she whispered something in her native language that sounded like either a prayer or a very polite curse. "Hey, Your Highness, stay with me," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "I'm not letting you die tonight. Do you know how much paperwork that would involve?" The reception hall erupted in chaos behind us. Alien dignitaries were screaming in 12 different languages, security guards were running in circles like headless space chickens, and somewhere in the distance, Captain Blorg was probably having another panic-induced molt. Zara's eyes fluttered open, focusing on me with surprising clarity. "You're human," she whispered, as if that explained everything wrong with the universe. "Guilty as charged. And you're bleeding royal blood all over my work uniform. So I guess we're both having a bad night. Getting a wounded alien princess through a ship full of panicking diplomatic guests is harder than it sounds. Trust me, I've now got experience. Every few steps, some fancy ambassador would spot us and either faint dramatically or start shouting about interstellar incidents. "This is ridiculous," I grumbled, half carrying Zara toward the medical bay. "You people can travel faster than light, but you fall apart the moment someone starts bleeding purple." Zara actually laughed, a sound like silver bells with a hint of pain. "Purple is the color of royalty. We don't bleed often." "Well, when you do, you sure make it memorable." We made it to the bridge, where Captain Blorg was having what could generously be called a leadership moment. Picture a 6-foot slug in a uniform, waving 4 arms while his eye stalks pointed in different directions. The universal translator was working overtime. "Morrison, what is the meaning of this catastrophe? Why is there royal bleeding in my corridors? Do you know what this will do to my insurance premiums?" I set Zara down gently in a chair, keeping pressure on her wound. Maybe because someone just tried to assassinate her, Captain. But hey, let's worry about the paperwork first. Assassination? On my ship? This is unprecedented, unthinkable, uninsurable. Dr. Kelvin Patch, our ship's medic, chose that moment to arrive. He took one look at Zara and immediately started backing toward the door. "Oh no, I don't do royalty. My malpractice insurance explicitly excludes anyone with a royal bloodline. Do you know what happens if I accidentally kill a princess? They make you pay for the funeral, and royal funerals cost more than planets." "She's dying, Doc." "Then find someone else to not save her. I've got a very nice practice on Earth to get back to, and I'm not throwing it away for purple blood and political complications." I looked around the bridge. Captain Blorg was now consulting what appeared to be an insurance manual the size of a small moon. Dr. Patch was literally hiding behind a console. The security chief was probably still running in circles somewhere. "Unbelievable," I muttered. "The one time we need actual competence, and I'm surrounded by the galactic equivalent of a Three Stooges revival." Zara grabbed my hand with surprising strength. Her skin was warm, almost feverish, and I could feel a slight electric tingle where we touched. "Jake Morrison," she said, somehow making my ordinary name sound like something important. "I need you to listen carefully. The people who did this, they're not common assassins." "Let me guess. Royal Guards." Her eyes widened. "How did you know?" "Because in my experience, the people who are supposed to protect you are usually the ones with the best opportunities to stab you in the back. It's like a universal constant, right up there with entropy and alien bureaucracy." Right on cue, the bridge doors exploded inward. 3 Velvani guards in full armor came through like they owned the place, which technically they probably did. Their plasma rifles were definitely not set to stun, and they had that look in their eyes that said overtime pay and early retirement. "Well," I said, scooping up Zara again, "this is why I should have stayed in maintenance." We made it to the emergency hatch just as the first plasma bolt sizzled past my ear. I've never been so grateful for my obsessive knowledge of every maintenance shaft and service tunnel on this ship. Years of fixing broken systems meant I knew places even the architects had forgotten about. "Where are we going?" Zara asked as I carried her through a particularly narrow conduit. "Anywhere that doesn't involve getting shot at by your fan club. Just out of curiosity, what did you do to tick off your own guards?" "I discovered they were planning to kill me and frame my brother for starting a war with the Terran Federation." I nearly dropped her. "Wait, they want to start a war with Earth? That's the dumbest plan I've ever heard. Have they met humans? We're basically the galaxy's janitors. What are we going to do? Mop them to death?" That's what I thought too. Until tonight. We reached a wider maintenance area, and I set her down again. The bleeding had slowed, but she was still pale and shaky. I grabbed my emergency kit and started cleaning the wound. It was deeper than I'd hoped, but cleaner than I'd feared. "This is going to hurt," I warned. "I'm Velvani royalty. I was trained to endure pain with dignity and grace." I started working, and she immediately grabbed my shoulder hard enough to leave marks. "Dignity and grace, huh? Shut up and keep working, human." There was something incredibly intimate about the moment. Here I was, patching up an alien princess with duct tape and antiseptic, while she gripped my arm and tried not to show how much it hurt. Her face was inches from mine, and I could see flecks of gold in those incredible eyes. "You know," I said, trying to distract both of us, "for a supposedly advanced civilization, you Velvani have surprisingly fragile skin. We're not built for violence. We're diplomats, artists, philosophers." "Right. That's why your guards are trying to murder you with plasma rifles." She actually smiled at that. "You have a point. Perhaps we're not as evolved as we pretend to be." "Nobody is, princess. That's what makes life interesting." The moment was broken by the sound of boots in the corridor outside. Our new friends had found us. "Time to go," I whispered, helping Zara to her feet. She was steadier now, but still leaning on me more than strictly necessary. Not that I was complaining. "Jake, there's something you need to know. The leader of these assassins is Commander Krex. He's been my personal guard for 10 years. Let me guess, he's like a father figure to you, taught you everything you know, and this betrayal cuts deeper than the actual knife wound." "How do you always know these things?" "I watch a lot of movies. Plus, it's always the ones closest to you. Basic rule of staying alive." We made our way through the ship's maintenance areas while I explained my brilliant plan. The Stellar Majesty had some interesting features that most passengers never knew about. For instance, the waste recycling system could be rerouted to create a very unpleasant surprise for anyone stupid enough to chase us into the lower decks. "You want to trap royal assassins in sewage?" Zara asked. "It's not sewage, it's processed organic matter awaiting redistribution. But yes, basically." I'm starting to understand why humans have such a reputation for unconventional thinking. We reached the control junction I was looking for. While I started rewiring the recycling systems, Zara kept watch. The wound had stopped bleeding completely, and she was moving with more confidence. There's something else, Jake. My brother Valdor isn't innocent in this. Krex is working for him. I paused in my rewiring. Your own brother wants you dead? Not dead, just out of the way. I'm next in line for the throne, and I've been pushing for closer relations with the human colonies. Valdor thinks humans are beneath us, useful only as servants and laborers. Well, he's not entirely wrong about the servant part. I am literally a janitor. You're the most competent person I've met in years. You've kept me alive, outsmarted trained assassins, and you're about to defeat them using garbage disposal systems. I think we may have underestimated your species. The sound of approaching footsteps interrupted our moment. I finished the rewiring just as Commander Krex and his team rounded the corner. Princess Zara, Krex called out in heavily accented standard. Step away from the human. Your brother is waiting. My brother can wait in the recycling bay, she replied coldly. I hit the activation switch. The corridor filled with the sound of rushing water and mechanical grinding. Krex and his men suddenly found themselves ankle-deep in processed organic matter that was definitely not going to come out of their armor easily. Jake Morrison, Zara said, watching her former guard struggle in sewage, you are either brilliant or completely insane. Why not both? We made it back to the main deck just as Prince Valdor's ship docked with the Stellar Majesty. Through the observation windows, I could see a full squad of Royal Marines preparing to board. This was about to get a lot more complicated. Your brother doesn't mess around, I observed. Valdor never does anything small. If he's here personally, it means he's confident I'm already dead. Good thing you're not. Good thing I have you. The way she said it made something warm curl up in my chest. Here was an alien princess, literally royalty from across the galaxy, looking at me like I actually mattered. Like I was more than just the guy who fixed broken toilets and malfunctioning life support systems. Zara, I need you to know something. Win or lose, tonight has been the most interesting night of my life. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something exotic and floral with hints of starlight. Mine too. Prince Valdor entered the docking bay with all the subtlety of a supernova. He was taller than Zara, with the same luminous purple skin but harder features. His entourage included a dozen armed Marines and what looked like a portable medical team. Sister, he called out in a voice that carried across the entire bay. I came as soon as I heard about the assassination attempt. Are you injured? Injured? I'm fine, Valdor. Thanks to Mr. Morrison here. Valdor's gaze shifted to me and I felt like a bug under a microscope. Ah yes, the human. How fortunate that our janitor was in the right place at the right time. Funny thing about that, I said, stepping forward. Your assassination squad seemed to know exactly where to find her. Almost like they had inside information. Careful, human. You're making very serious accusations. I'm making very obvious observations, Your Highness. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Valdor's Marines shifted nervously, hands moving toward their weapons. Jake, Zara whispered. What are you doing? Something stupid, probably. But here's the thing, Prince Valdor. Your sister figured out your little scheme. She knows about Krex, she knows about the war with the Terran Federation, and she knows you're behind all of it. Valdor's composure cracked just slightly. You have no proof of anything. Actually, I do. I pulled out my maintenance scanner, the same device I used to diagnose faulty systems. This little gadget records everything it encounters. Sound, visual, electromagnetic signatures. It's been running all night." That was a complete lie. My scanner couldn't record anything except system diagnostics. But Valdor didn't know that, and his reaction told me everything I needed to know. "Kill them both," he ordered. The Marines raised their weapons, but I was already moving. 3 years of emergency maintenance drills had taught me where every emergency system was located. I hit the gravity generator override just as the first plasma bolts fired. Suddenly everyone was floating, including the Marines who had never trained for zero-gravity combat. Zara, however, moved like she was born in space, using the walls and ceiling to propel herself toward her brother's position. "You always underestimated everyone, Valdor," she said, delivering a kick that sent him spinning into a bulkhead. "Especially humans." The aftermath was surprisingly anticlimactic. Once the legitimate Velvani authorities arrived and sorted through the evidence, Prince Valdor and his conspirators were arrested with minimal fuss. Apparently, royal family coup attempts were more common than anyone wanted to admit. I was back in my maintenance bay, trying to fix the gravity generator I'd overloaded during the fight, when Zara found me. "Knock, knock," she said, leaning against the door frame. "Your Highness, shouldn't you be doing princess things? Signing treaties, attending galas, ruling the galaxy?" "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. The Velvani Council has decided to award you the Order of Royal Protection. It comes with a substantial reward and an official position as my personal security advisor." I nearly dropped my plasma torch. "You want me to be your bodyguard?" "I want you to be whatever you want to be, but I'd prefer if it involved staying close to me." There was something in her voice that made me look up from my work. She was nervous, which was adorable on someone who had just survived an assassination attempt and a family coup. "Zara, I'm a maintenance engineer. I fix things. I'm not royal advisor material. You saved my life using duct tape and sewage systems. You outmaneuvered trained assassins with a gravity generator and common sense. You saw through a conspiracy that fooled the entire Velvani intelligence service." She stepped closer. "And you treat me like I'm just Zara, not Princess Zara of the Velvani Empire. You are just Zara. The rest is just fancy titles." "See? That's exactly what I'm talking about." 6 months later, I was teaching a class at the Galactic Emergency Response Academy. Apparently, word had gotten out about human ingenuity in crisis situations, and suddenly everyone wanted to know our secrets. The key to emergency response, I told my mixed class of aliens, is not having better technology or more training. It's being too stubborn to give up and too creative to follow the rules. A gastropod student raised a tentacle. "But Instructor Morrison, what if the rules exist for important safety reasons?" "Then you break them safely." Next question. After class, I found Zara waiting in my office. She was wearing casual clothes instead of royal robes, and she looked more beautiful than ever. "How was your day, Professor Morrison?" "Weird. I'm teaching aliens how to think like humans. Pretty sure that's going to end badly for everyone involved." "Probably. But it'll be entertaining." She kissed me, and I still couldn't believe this was my life now. "Ready to go home?" Home was a small apartment on the diplomatic quarter of New Geneva Station. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I was still a maintenance engineer at heart, and she was still a princess, but somehow we made it work. "You know," I said as we walked through the station corridors, "this whole thing started because I was trying to fix a champagne dispenser. Best malfunction in galactic history. Duelson. Well. Black. Farewell. I love you too, Your Highness." "Just Zara, remember?" "Right. I love you too, Zara." And that's how a human maintenance engineer accidentally became the galaxy's most unlikely royal consort. The moral of the story is simple. Sometimes the best way to save a princess is to treat her like a person. and sometimes the best way to stop an interstellar conspiracy is to drown it in processed organic matter. Also, never underestimate the power of duct tape and human stubbornness. We may be the galaxy's janitors, but we're really good at cleaning up other people's messes.